Hey, everybody, this is Adam Sternberg doing another one of our bi-weekly live streams. There we go. I just want to welcome you in, and we've got a really, really cool guest. He's been an old friend of mine for a very long time. The guy just oozes talent and is like one of my favorite people to hang out with, share a beer with, but more importantly, just to gain massive amounts of knowledge on the entertainment scene in Las Vegas. So I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. In the meantime, just want to get some of the business out of the way. If everybody can please, just if you're watching this and you'd love to subscribe, we'd love to have you do that too. And you can actually go to our YouTube channel right here. And right on our homepage is at CorporatePhotographers.com. We're in the process of launching our new website. You can find us on Facebook now by clicking that link. And of course, if you go to YouTube, you can find us there because we are broadcasting live. And when you go to our YouTube channel, you're going to see a button come up right over here. And it says subscribe. Please click on that. And then the little notification bell right to the right there. And that way you can get notices every single time that we do our broadcast. You can find us right there. And that would be a huge, 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 huge help. And also today, I'm going to talk briefly. This broadcast, we have a new sponsor, which is StreamYard. They are the service that we use for broadcasting all of our live streams. And so if you'd like more information, if you're looking at setting up a live stream of yourself where you can do interviews and broadcasts and all kinds of great stuff, and they help us with the broadcasting out to all the different channels that we do. And the quality is awesome. They're super easy to use and set up. It's like a very, very small learning curve, which is why we love them. And it's a great service. So you can go to StreamYard, and if you're interested in that, you can go to streaming.CorporatePhotographers.com. That will just take you right over to a special page there where you can learn everything that you need to know about doing your own live stream. So great company. Really happy to be working with them, and just a dynamite group all the way around. So our guest today is my good friend, Ryan Hamman. Ryan is the drummer and one of the founding members of two amazing rock bands here in Las Vegas. If you lived in Vegas for any amount of time, you have probably heard of these guys because they perform all over the place. They're played in casinos all over Southern Nevada. They are frequently playing downtown on Fremont Street, so they're on the main stage out there all the time, and that's really the place you want to catch them because you get like that awesome rock band energy out of them, and they draw huge crowds out there. They're just the best, and they've even gone on tour. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. So it's always fun to get musicians on here. And, I even kind of am joking, I usually wear, I'll talk to him in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce him here. This is my dear friend. Please give everybody a big welcome to our guest today is Ryan Hamman. And I'm going to unmute him real quick here. I had him unmute. Sorry about that. Hey, Ryan, how you doing today?
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How you doing, man?
Good. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us today on our live stream. It's an absolute pleasure. So, it's, people always wonder about the entertainment scene in Vegas here. And, a lot of times we work with their corporate clients and whatnot to get musicians and bands and whatnot booked. But you guys are kind of like playing on a really big level here in Vegas. And, I've known the band for years and years. And, I know you guys have like a whole family relationship. I'll kind of have you talk about that a little bit. But you are one of the founding members of two really cool groups here in Vegas, which is the Roxy Gunn Project and Crimson Riot. And there's a lot of similarities between the two bands, but there's a lot of differences. But you're the drummer in the band, and I have a big affinity for drummers. I even wore my special,
I love that.
I usually wear. Somebody asked me to wear a shirt once, and I've been wearing it on all these live streams. It says, fix it in post, right? Which is our photography joke. But I had to wear this for you today because I love drummers, right?
I love it, man.
I played drums when I was years and years ago, but anywhere near your talent. And man, you guys really know how to rock the stage. So tell us a little bit about you, your background here in Vegas and how you got these two bands going.
Okay. Well, I moved here 20 years ago. And, I kind of dabbled around in the music scene, met a lot of people. And, I've got two kids. A daughter and a son, and I played with a couple guys around town, just doing some stuff here and there, but nothing really stuck and nothing really got serious. Really, I mean, I did a few things that were cool, but most of it was just kind of short run type stuff. Well, in the meantime, my daughter, she had been playing music, and my kids, we come from a whole musical background. Our whole family is musicians. My mom, my grandparents, my aunts, uncles, everybody. So my daughter Roxy was really, really getting into songwriting and playing guitar and singing. And so she showed interest in wanting to play out and play in front of people. And I said, okay, let's, she's like 15 at the time. And so I went around to a couple coffee shops, introduced us, I'd go in with her and I'd say, hey, would you mind if she, played some songs over in the corner over there on a Saturday afternoon for some tips?
Mm-hmm.
And the place was like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. So I made her a little banner and we had a whole little setup, and we'd go around to these coffee shops on Saturday afternoons, and she'd play like a 1 hour set or whatever of just some of her stuff, that she wrote. And then a lot of kind of, I guess I'd call them like coffee shop cover tunes,
right?
Some kind of mellow, some Jewel and some
Alanis
Morissette.
She's playing mostly acoustic guitar, right?
Yeah, all acoustic guitar by herself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that went on for quite a while. Then it became like bigger and bigger. And so, I was able to, when she was like 16, I was able to kind of sneak her into some of these open mics around town and get her on the big stages for these open mics. And, some of the bar owners I knew, and I would just say, hey, is it cool if she just jumps up there, plays a couple songs, and then we'll leave, because she's underage? And they're like,
right,
yeah, you guys are good people. Sure, why not? So that just kind of snowballed into this thing. And then we were going to these open mics, 2-3 times a week to get her all this stage time. And she's at home practicing. She's homeschooled, so she had a lot of time at home to practice guitar and practice singing and listen to music and kind of develop herself. And then when she turned, I think she was like 17. Yeah, like 17, I think, or 18. She said, Dad, I really want a band. I really want a full band. I blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So her little brother, Raceland, was playing drums and kind of taken after me. And he was real into drumming and he was really, really good. So we put this little band together with her and him and this kid, Joe, that played bass guitar. And we kind of put that together. And then they would play little pizza restaurants and, again, the coffee shops. We would, but it was kind of on a bigger scale. They'd go to the open mics and do these things. And so it went really well. And then it just kind of fizzled out a little bit. And she was really upset about it. She goes, okay. She goes, I want like a real band. Like I want players. I want people that have done this. I want, like this pro level kind of thing. And I'm like, well, I don't know how we're going to do this, but I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I know a couple guys. I said, I'll play drums for you for a while. I know a couple guys. Maybe we can just get them to kind of get involved to help you get going. And then we can kind of pick the players. Right. So she's like, okay, that's great. And so we start putting this band together. This friend of ours that we knew from an open mic, this guy, Victor, super nice guy, really great guitar player. I said, hey, can you just like help us get this started? And he's like, absolutely, no problem. So he comes in. We needed a bass player. And we were friends with Chris at the time from the open mics. And I said, hey, Chris, can you play bass? And he goes, well, I think so. I go, well, do you have one? He goes, well, no. And I'm like, okay, well, so I go to this like guitar shop downtown and I buy him this little like $200 bass guitar. And I'm like, here, dude, learn how to play this thing.
I never knew that. You by looking at him and listening to him, you would never have guessed that. I mean, it looks like he's been playing for 20 years.
Well, he's been playing guitar. He's been playing guitar a long time, but he never really played bass guitar, which is really a kind of a different instrument. I mean, overall, it's kind of a different thing. So we kind of put this thing together. We were a 3-piece first, and then we got my friend Victor to come in and kind of play lead guitar for us. So that was kind of the start of it, and it took off so quickly. Like as soon as people heard that Roxy had a band, everyone wanted it. Everyone's like, "Oh, bring your band, bring your band, bring your band!" And so it just became this. It went really fast, and we started getting these gigs right out of the gate. Well, it took off so fast that our friend Victor, he couldn't hang. He couldn't handle it. He was like a bartender and stuff. And he's like, guys, I can't do this anymore. He goes, I got this job. And he goes, we're playing too much. And I'm like, okay. So Victor leaves and we find John Mills, just kind of out of a weird circumstance we meet John Mills. He comes and watches us play one night, and he's like, man, he goes, I dig you guys. He goes, do you need a lead guitar player? And we're like, yes. And we're like, play something. So he like grabs Roxy's guitar and just starts ripping like all this awesome stuff. And we're like, you're in. I'm like, what are you doing tomorrow? He goes, no, this is true. He goes, I go, what are you doing tomorrow, dude? He goes, nothing. I got nothing going on. I go, tell you what, I'm going to email you like 3 of our tunes, learn them tomorrow afternoon, and come play the gig with us tomorrow night.
That's awesome. He's
like, I'm down. So he does it. So we played at this little bar, and he comes in, you know, and we kind of made this announcement like, hey, it's our new guitar player. He only knows a few of our songs, but, you know, he wants to get in here and play these. And so everyone's like, that's cool. So John steps in, ends up actually playing like, I think he ended up playing like 6 or 7 tunes because we played a couple cover tunes that he was kind of familiar with. So he's like looking over at Chris and Roxy, like trying to figure out the chords as we're doing it. You know? It was super great, you know. And then from there, it just went on. It went on just gangbusters. And then it was just, you know, just grinding. I mean, this is probably the grindingest band I've ever been in.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, because we started out playing these little places, and you know, we always admired all these guys we knew that were playing, you know, at Planet Hollywood and all, you know, Carnival Court and all these big venues at town. And we're like, man, one of these days we're going to get there. And it just took time, man. It just literally took time.
And John moved on. I know you have a new guitarist now.
Yeah, Randy.
Randy's awesome too.
He's a great dude.
I got to show a picture. So as you guys have evolved, I got to show this photo. I actually shot this. I got to toot my own horn a little bit.
All right. Yeah.
But, you know, as things moved on, you know, I always kind of say, like, you know, if you're going to be the pinnacle of like a local Vegas band, you got to play at either like a major casino at a regular gig, or you got to play Fremont Street. And I always say that, right? And so this is actually you guys downtown. And man, it doesn't get any cooler than that, you know. And
it is the coolest.
And it's great because I wait, hold on. I have a picture of you in here too. Hold on.
Okay.
But you know what's great about this is that, you know, I always have a hard time shooting the drummers because it's like you guys are always in the back, right? So, but
nice.
There's you. So, but you know, I always say it's like you know, you guys are playing like in a really good venues now. You know, a lot's changed.
We finally got there.
Yeah, right. So, you know, lots change and, you know, certainly things become a lot more fun, I would imagine, as you're playing a lot of these larger venues. And you play all over Vegas. But you have like 2 different bands. You know, I think it's important to say too, you know, I've known Roxy since she was like this tall. Right. So, you know, I you know, so I've to see her evolve as a talent, really the whole band. You know, all you guys work together and play together, but you know, she is just an amazingly talented woman.
Thank you.
And aside, but you know, the whole band is, right. But you know, part of the thing I think that sets you guys apart is you don't just play covers, you write your own music too. You guys have cut a couple albums. Right. I've seen you guys have done music videos and like really cool stuff. So, you know, so you have like 2 different bands. Explain the difference between the 2, because one of the bands is a lot newer than the other one.
Right. So what happened, as we were talking about John, John was with the band for a little over 7 years. And at that time, the Roxy Gunn Project was doing covers and original music at the same time. So one band was doing both things. Well, when John left, John had to leave for a medical problem. He had a problem in his wrist, and he was having trouble playing guitar. So he steps out, and we kind of came to the crossroads. Roxy and Chris and I were like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to get another guitar player to come in and learn all these songs? Or should we just like do something new? So there's really no long story short to this, unfortunately. But what happened was we basically decided to do kind of a pop punk band, because we all had kind of this like punk rock background, all of us. So one night we were up really late after a gig, and we decided let's do this. Let's do a 3-piece pop punk band. It'll be like Joan Jett fronting Green Day. You know, that was kind of like our vision, right? We're like, that's the vision. So Chris and Roxy go to bed. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning. They go to bed. We all lived together at this time, by the way. We all lived in the same house. So I put on a pot of coffee. I'm super excited, super stoked. So I stay up all night and I design a logo for the name. I create the Facebook, the Instagram. I buy the domain. I start building the website. I start designing the t-shirt. Like, I start doing this whole thing. And they wake up the next day and they're like, "Are you still up?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I go, "By the way, I got everything ready to go. Here's the logo.
That's awesome.
Here's the thing. And they're just like, "Whoa." So what was crazy was, and that was Crimson Riot. That band's called Crimson Riot. And what was crazy about it was we had shows booked and a tour booked already as the Roxy Gunn Project.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so now you got to figure out what to do here. Okay.
Right. So thankfully, one of the shows was here in Vegas, and we know the promoter really well. So we called him up and we're like, "Hey, dude, don't freak out, but here's what's going on." And he's like, "Dude, I love you guys. Whatever you do, cool. Let's do it." So we had about 3 weeks before this show, and at this point we have no songs, no nothing, and we've got a show in 3 weeks. So in a week,
like, what do you do with that, right?
Yeah. So in 1 week, we wrote 9 songs, went into our friend's studio, recorded 3 of them, made a little demo of 3 songs, and then went and played this first show as Crimson Riot with all brand new material, everything. Everything was totally brand new. And people dug it. And so then we had this tour booked. So we called all the venues and we're like, "Hey, we have a name change." And they're like, "It's cool. We remember you guys. You guys were cool. Let's do this." So yeah, so we went and did our tour as Crimson Riot, and it was fantastic. And so it was just definitely a home run. I mean, it was definitely the right move. So,
well, that's kind of cool. Definitely different. So how has that been received versus, like just, with the old Roxy Gunn cover? Because you guys do both now, right? I mean, that's kind of how you're at now.
Well, Roxy Gunn Project is our work band. That's only our Vegas band. That's our cover band. Crimson Riot is our original band. That's it. Yeah. So they're completely separated now. And Crimson is just the 3 of us. Crimson is Roxy and Chris and myself. Roxy Gunn Project is us 3 with Randy playing lead guitar.
Gotcha.
So it's different bands, even though the core of it is the 3 of us.
So what's it like to play, like, when you're playing in front of a really good audience, and especially tourists, because I know you guys have a really big fan base. I'll talk about that in a second. But like, what's it like to play in front of like a really big audience? I got to imagine it's like, the first time you guys did that must have been pretty trippy, right? I mean, what was that experience like?
Definitely. Well, I think for this band, the first thing we did that was like really huge was we became the house band for the Las Vegas Wranglers hockey team.
Oh, very cool. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were playing at the hockey games. So they built this little.
I think it's noteworthy to say you guys are like major hockey fans. I have become one now that we have the Nights in town. We go to the games from time. Obviously not lately, but yeah. Oh my gosh, like I turned into like the biggest hockey fan. In a million years, I never would have thought I'd hear myself say that. But yeah,
that's awesome, man. Yeah.
And I know you are like as much as I like to think that I am. You guys are like 1,000 times bigger fans of hockey. But I think it's like pretty cool that you actually get that opportunity to go do that.
We did. I mean, there's a picture. I actually shot pictures from my drum set. What they did is on one of the corners of the rink, they built this stage like right off the corner of the rink. So, like I'm sitting on my drum set and, 6-7 feet away from me is
like right there,
yeah, dude, I'm right there. It's the best. So I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's unexplainable. So I'm getting paid to play my drums and watch hockey at the same time.
How cool is that, right?
Yeah. It's the craziest thing. So awesome. So I mean, those games, there were 5,000 to 8,000 people in that arena, at a time. So it was cool, man. It was really cool to have that kind of audience. Now, obviously, they were there for hockey. We were a secondary part of that, but that was still a really cool thing, and a lot of people knew us from there. A lot of people, then they would be like, they would see us after the game, walking out or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, do you guys play anywhere else?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, we play over here on Thursday and we play over here on Friday or whatever." And they're like, "Awesome." And they would show up. They would come to these venues that we were playing at. So
very cool.
We built a really great
fan base,
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as like the regular stuff, like, like playing it at a Carnival Court or Fremont Street, it's just unbelievable because the people are there for that. So you've got, you've got several thousand people just like, yeah, and they're singing along to every song, and they're, I mean, it's crazy. It's the full.
It's so great. And I'm so happy to see you guys down there. My wife and I go to Fremont Street all the time, and I have a lot of friends. We go down there, and, they get, it says a lot because, they get a lot of it's rare when you ever hear a band down there that's not good. They get really good talent down there.
They do. Yeah. Everybody's stellar down there.
Oh yeah, really, truly they do. And so, I remember, I think I was there the first night you guys were playing down there, and holy crap. It's like, it sounds great. They got good acoustics down there. I don't know if you've had a chance to go down there, if you guys have played since they remodeled it. They did a really nice job putting the new canopy up now. Sound system is way better. So, I don't know if you guys played down there since they reopened that. I know
we did.
Pretty recently.
We did once. Yeah, it was right near the end of everything, as we call it.
Yeah, right.
The end of the world. Yeah. So yeah, we actually, we played there. I want to say it was like the last Sunday in February or something was when we last played down there. Before everything shut down. So yeah, we were there with the new canopy and the new sound system and all that. And it was phenomenal, man. The new sound system down there is it's unbelievable. It sounds so cool. Good. Yeah, well, it's great.
So now, the whole world is shut down, right? All the mentions are left. And, we have a few projects that are coming up that some of our clients are starting to look at for like September, October, November. I think the world is going to start to kind of rebuild itself in this fall. But for right now, a lot of stuff is shut down. So you guys no different than us, right? So we started our live streaming a few weeks ago. And so now you guys have done the same thing. And so now you're doing live. Because where else are you going to play, right? There's no casinos, no hotels, no bars. Everything's just slowly starting to open up right now. Phase one, I guess. But, you guys have started doing streaming. And so tell us about that. So how's that been going?
Well, so we had a big giant booking for St. Patrick's Day. That's one of our big kind of holiday things where they book the heck out of us, right? So 5 venues have us booked over a couple days. So we're doing like double shows, So on the 14th, March 14th, we played downtown for the Hennessy's group. They build this temporary stage out on Fremont Street in front of their restaurant, and we play there. So we play there that night. There's still a lot of people out there, but you could tell it was not as good as the year before. So we played that night. Everything was great. We're like, yeah, man, we're playing tomorrow and blah, 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 blah. And we got this. We were booked from Thursday to Tuesday because I think St. Patrick's Day was on a Tuesday, but we were like booked solid. So here comes, Saturday we play or whatever the 14th was. So the next day we wake up and our phone is blown up with emails and everything canceled. Like that. Oh yeah. Everything canceled.
Holy moly.
So we're like, holy crap, like everything's canceled. So we literally lost everything. All our corporate gigs, all our, everything was gone. Everything was gone. So we sat there and we said, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we have to continue. We have to keep going. I go, let's just figure out a way to stream our shows and keep going. Just keep doing what we're doing. So March 17th was our first live stream, and that was St. Patrick's Day. So we figured it out in 3 days. We figured out how to put this together, and we played a St. Patrick's Day show, and people were just like, yes. And they were so excited because, they wanted to party with us for St. Patrick's Day. We're big St. Patrick's Day fans as well. So if you know what I mean, we we kind of call that like alcoholic Christmas. Yeah. But we're not really alcoholics. We really enjoy the Jameson whiskey.
No, of course. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. What's not to love, right?
Yeah. So from there, people were just like, they instantly reached out before we had any kind of donation thing set up. We were really just bare bones. We were sitting in Roxy's living room, and we're like, okay, hey everybody, we're going to play songs. And people instantly messaged us like, oh my God, what are you guys going to do? Do you have a PayPal? Do you have a Venmo? Mm-hmm. We want to help, And so I think a couple days later, we set up like a GoFundMe and, all the other stuff, payment things. Right. And people people just went nuts, and they were so beyond generous. A lot of people were just like, oh, well, I'm still working, or my business is still, thriving or whatever. Here, boom. And people were just unbelievably kind and generous to try to help us keep going, and that has continued. I mean, it has continued, and it's been just the most overwhelming thing for us to have these people just, open their wallets and their hearts and help us, because
Sure.
Our unemployment, thankfully we're going to be able to get it at some point, but I mean, we're going on 2 months with no income.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner in this state anyways, any kind of unemployment, anything, I got a weird pop up on my screen.
Sorry.
A lot of this stuff will not be really start to be paid out to a lot of people and for months. I mean, it could be June, July. So it's kind of like everybody's kind of struggling, and we're all kind of pushing through this. But no, and and it's great that even people that are donating a couple of bucks. I mean, it's nice that people are thinking of like that of artists, because there's definitely a need for that, especially now more than ever. There's such a huge need for helping out artists, because it's not so much like the starving artist thing. I mean, everybody, people don't realize is that this isn't like a little side project for you guys. It's how you earn a living, and you guys provide a very valuable service. I mean, you do. People,
thanks, man.
But it's true. People want to. That's why people come to Vegas, right? And we don't always think that. We always think, whenever you think of Vegas, you think of the gambling and the casinos and all that. But the reality is that Vegas has become a hotspot for two other major things, and one is the restaurant scene. We have phenomenal food in Vegas, but the other thing is the entertainment world, right? And it's more than just all the Cirque du Soleil shows. It's going to see really cool acts, or find new music, or find different opportunities to have great entertainment. And the town provides, it's such a useful source for that, right? I mean, it's such a great hub for that. But you guys have toured too. I mean, like, what's it like going on tour? Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, yeah. So this band, basically, the three of us, we've been doing this for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing it full time, like 7 years, I guess, 7 years now. Mm-hmm. So what we did was, with every gig, we put away a little money. We have a little savings account, and, just for whatever. And it got to the point after several years of this, we were able to go out and buy a big giant RV.
Yeah, you bought your touring vehicle, which I think is about the coolest thing ever. Yeah, I mean,
we did.
When I heard you guys did that, I just cracked up. I'm like, oh, that's so brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I looked at the math. I'm really like silly with the stuff, but I looked at the costs and the things like that, and it's like, okay, we can drive anywhere in this thing. We can sleep in it. We can eat in it. It's got a full kitchen, refrigerator, the whole thing. So I'm like, okay, if we're spending, because I've been on tours before back in the 80s and stuff, and, money was better then and all that kind of thing. But for us as a DIY type band, I'm like, this is going to be the best way to go, because we have everything with us. We're not sleeping in some van all crunched up. I mean, I got a nice bed, that I sleep in, and I'm an old man now, so I gotta be comfortable, right?
Well, yeah, well, sure.
So anyway, so we bought this RV, and recently, last year actually, we bought a new one. We traded in our old one. We got a brand new, beautiful one, 30-foot RV. It's fantastic. It's all modernized, has all the modern stuff. Anyway, so that's our tour vehicle, and we've toured all over the United States now. We haven't got to the East Coast yet so much, but
you're working on it, yeah. Yeah.
So basically, we just tell our agents here in Vegas, hey, we're taking 2 weeks off for our tour for our other band. And they're like, awesome. Have fun. We'll see you when you get back. And they're just so great. The agents are so cool and supportive of our actual dream, which is the original band, right?
Right.
So, and the touring is just so wonderful. We've met the greatest people and seen the coolest things. And just the travel is awesome. Like, we'll get to, we got to St. Louis, Missouri, and Roxy had never seen the arch, the
oh, cool.
St. Louis arch. And so she's standing there and it's like, holy crap, And it was just, and we find all the coolest little local restaurants and bars and
Oh
venues.
yeah, that's the best part about traveling.
Dude,
I
it's
totally
the
agree.
best. It's the best thing is to see all this cool stuff and be able to, take in a lot of culture of America and different foods and people and everything. I mean, it's just the coolest thing to travel and see. And, we went up to Seattle and Roxy saw the Space Needle for the first time. And again, she's, oh my God,
sure.
So it's just been such a cool thing. And obviously, experiencing that thing with your kid is super cool. So
for sure.
Yeah. So I'm with my dog.
So let me ask you this. So as you're like the elder of the band, right? So,
well, yeah.
So how does that play out with, the fact, I mean, I think it's great that, how cool is it you're actually able to play with your daughter, which I think is amazing. But like, how does that dynamic work? I mean, like, do people look at you? Because, she's kind of got that young rock star kind of thing. And Chris, who plays, basically all the band members are in that same age group. And then there's Ryan, right?
Right.
So have you found that kind of causes any kind of weird things when people are, dealing with you as a band, or any issues at all with that? Or, how does that kind of play out?
Not really. I mean, I despite the way I look, I have a really like young spirit. So I kind of just fall in the mix, and people don't really know. Like when people find out that I'm Roxy's dad, they're like, no way. What are you, like 28? Well, I wish,
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, and you don't I know you advertise it so much that you're like a family band, but I know, like, if anybody asks you, you tell them. I mean, it's not like anything you hide.
We used to actually hide that. An old manager of ours said, don't tell anybody, that Chris and Roxy are married and that you're Roxy's dad. Like, don't tell anybody this stuff. Keep it,
Right.
And then we finally decided that, you know what? We don't care anymore. Let's just be completely wide open and transparent.
It's what do you have to hide, right?
Yeah. Well, and so Chris and Roxy, they announced it.
I got to come back to that photo because I love you doing the whole Neil Peart thing going on there. Yeah, that always kind of makes me chuckle. I know you're a big Rush fan, so yeah.
I am.
But no, that's very cool. No, and I think that's cool that you kind of embrace that now.
We do.
I think that's really great, and I think that you guys, I think, have a really good energy. I'm glad this is able to kind of sustain itself, and you guys are keep growing as things as the city starts to evolve more as we come out of this mess that we're in. I foresee that you guys are going to, just get right back. You're probably going to jump right back into where where you left off.
And yeah. And the weird thing was, so here's the funny thing. So in the midst of, of the new band Crimson Riot, a lot of really cool stuff was happening. So this woman,
in what way?
Well, this woman reaches out to us and she's like, hey, we've got this radio show. I'd really like to play some of your songs. And I'm like, okay. So I email this woman a couple MP3s of our songs, and she's like, all right. She goes, it'll be on Wednesday. And I'm like, okay. So then like Wednesday comes along, she sends me this link to this place, and it's this like radio podcast thing that's like done by this record company. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And so I listen and they play our song and everything. And I'm like, that's awesome. And so she kind of writes back. She's like, thank you so much. I hope you heard it. And I said, yeah, I listened. It was great. So this woman was actually an artist relations person from this record label.
Oh, wow.
So then she kind of just like started commenting on our stuff and kind of watching us. Then she sends me a message on Facebook and she says, hey, the owners of the record label would like to have a meeting with you, like a phone conference with you guys.
Wow.
I'm like, what? So we have this phone conference with the owners of this record label. And they just said, hey, we just wanted to say hi and kind of find out what you guys were about and this and that and this and that. And we just wanted to let you know we're kind of keeping an eye on you. And we're like, cool, right? All right. So some things, that was like months and months ago. And then a couple other really cool things happened. We started getting played on Sirius Radio, one of the channels on the satellite radio channel. And that grabbed a lot of attention as well. So,
awesome.
So then this woman contacts me again I should stop calling her this woman. Her name is Jillian, and she's wonderful.
Okay.
She's anyway. So she calls here. She writes me back. She's like, "Hey, they want to have another meeting with you guys, and between you and I think they're going to offer you a deal."
Wow.
And I'm like, really? So we set this whole thing up. We got on the phone, and long story short, these guys offered us a record deal. So we signed with Die Laughing Records out of Northern California.
Congratulations.
Super excited. They're a great company, and everybody there and all the bands are just super great. So we're super excited. So we got signed during a pandemic, which is super crazy. Like one of the coolest things ever happened at the worst time ever, you know.
Well, you know, sometimes opportunity knocks in weird ways, right? So, yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations.
So, that was kind of a cool thing. So next year we'll actually like really dig in with them, and we'll release our next album through the record company and all that kind of stuff.
And your other stuff's available on YouTube, or not YouTube, well, you do have some stuff, but I mean on iTunes. You do have music on iTunes.
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, all the things. Yeah, Google Play or Google whatever, or Amazon, all those things. Yep.
One last question for you, because I'm going to wrap up.
Yeah.
Let me ask this: what's kind of like so playing in front of all these different venues, and you play in casinos and big stages, small. You're all over the place. What's kind of like? I mean, tell us I got to ask this. What's like a funny story, some crazy thing that you've had happen? I got to imagine you have a list like a mile long. So, like, if you had to pick one really funny story, what would it be? That like something's happened while you guys have been playing?
I've got a few. I mean, we've had the obvious, you know, drunk woman in the audience lifting her shirt at us. You know, you get. I mean, that's nothing special. So I think the most memorable, weirdest one ever was we were playing at Planet Hollywood in the lounge, and it was packed. It was like a Friday night. It's packed with people. There's this group of people from, I want to say either like Australia or New Zealand or something like that. It's like somewhere in that part of the world, having a great time. They were drinking like crazy, having a great old time. And out of nowhere, this woman from this table walks up to the stage and has one of those big foofy drinks, you know, I don't know what you call them.
The big huge.
Well, it's from the lounge, so it's not one of those big plastic crazy things, but it's a good size. You know, it's a good size drink. And it's one of those, you know, I don't know, it's red and yellow and has all these colors. So she walks up to the stage and just tosses it on Chris while we're playing.
Really?
Yeah. The whole drink. It's like a slushy drink or whatever, you know, of something. She throws the whole drink on Chris, and he's like, what the hell? And so he's covered in this sticky, alcoholic, whatever mess, and we're trying to play. And so... obviously then her friends jump up and grab her, and she's like, woo! And she's just having a good old time.
Sure.
Like, what was that? So that was a weird one. One more, part two of that.
Yeah.
So a few days later, the next week, we're back at Planet Hollywood, and we're playing, doing our thing. So this weird guy comes in, like out of nowhere. This guy shows up, and he looks kind of homeless. He's kind of scraggly looking and kind of dirty. Takes off his shirt, has a backpack on, takes off his backpack, sets it down, takes off his shirt, and starts dancing right in front of Roxy.
Okay.
Now dancing is allowed in front there, but he was like very close, you know, so Roxy's like right up on the edge of the stage, and this guy's dancing right there. And so he's just kind of like, woo, and he's having a good time. The next thing we know, he opens up his backpack and takes out a machete.
Whoa!
Like a full-on like jungle machete, right? And he starts like doing this thing, like he's some kind of ninja, and he's dancing with this machete. So,
oh my gosh!
So instantly, we're all like, like what the hell, dude?
Oh my god!
And all the people in the audience, this place is packed. All the people in the audience are just like, like holy crap! Like they're trying to, you know, get back from this guy, and so. We're looking at the sound guy like, dude, get security, you know, like security.
Right.
This guy's like wielding this giant machete. You know, he doesn't look threatening. He's not looking like he's going to hit anybody. He's just dancing with it, right?
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but still, he's wielding this machete like, woo, you know. And so security comes, tackles the guy down, cuffs him up and the whole deal. And they had put the machete in our tip bucket. So this machete is like stuck in our tip bucket.
Oh, I can.
And so Roxy's like,
this, yeah.
it's super crazy. So Roxy's like, hey man, telling the security guys, can you guys like get this out of here? I'm not touching this, you know?
Right.
So finally, the security woman, there's a woman with them, or I think she was a cop actually. I think she was Metro. So she comes up, she takes it, you know, puts on gloves and takes the machete and kind of wraps it up in some stuff, and they take off.
Your tip is now evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, your tip bucket. So here's the crazy part. So then that was like a Friday night.
Like it's not crazy enough already. Okay.
Yeah, right. It gets weirder. It gets weirder. So that was a Friday night. So Sunday we play on Fremont Street. So we're on the stage at Fremont Street. We're getting ready to play, and here comes the guy.
Machete guy.
Yeah, here comes Machete guy, and he starts yelling at Roxy, I want my machete back. Give me my machete. And he thought we took it. And so Roxy's like, dude, the cops took it, man. He's like, give me my machete. And this guy sat here and like yelled at us for like 10 minutes to give him his machete. So finally, you know, the people, they call security and they come and take the guy away. But I'm just like, really? This guy found us in a completely different place 3 days later, and he's asking for his machete. So I think that was probably the most like weirdest thing that happened.
Welcome to Vegas. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this up.
Right on, man.
I'm going to give you a little plug here. Hold on one second. Let me get this up. If you want more information on these guys, I'm going to show this real quick. Please visit their websites. They have, and it's pretty obvious with the names, RoxyGunnProject.com and CrimsonRiot.com.
Yep.
Both those websites you can pull up. I would imagine once things are going to kick back into gear, they'll be able to pull up like your tour dates, where you're performing. I assume you put all that
Absolutely.
on there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right now, I mean, you can see both bands online. We're still doing shows online.
Yeah.
We're streaming these shows. Crimson Riot, actually, at the end of the month, it's our 1-year anniversary of our first album release. So
Awesome.
we're doing a special show, special online concert for that. And then just catch every week we're doing Roxy Gunn Project stuff every Tuesday night. So
fantastic. And find them on iTunes. You can download their music there. And really, truly, if you want to find, I have friends of mine, it's kind of unfortunate. I have friends of mine, the kind of old way of thinking. They're like, there's no such thing as good music anymore, and that's absolutely so not true.
Oh.
And you guys are absolutely proof that it's not. So yeah, definitely
Thank you.
Go check them out, find them online, and, watch their live streams because they're dynamite. I watch them myself. You guys are absolutely awesome. So Ryan, thank you so much for being our guest today. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to have another person who's another entertainer here in Vegas. We're going to talk about other fun stuff. We're going to be changing our broadcast times a little bit. So we're going to start broadcasting in the evening a little bit instead of noon.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Nice. This way, hopefully, because as the world's starting to get back to normal again, we'll start doing it in the evening. Ryan, thank you again.
Thank you, Adam.
And everybody else, we send our wishes. You are awesome. Thanks, everybody, for watching today. Yep. And we'll see you next week on next Tuesday. Have a great one.
Thanks, Adam. Bye.